That's it.
Nice.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, we are returning from closed session, and so to that end, we need a motion from the board to certify the following statement. To the best of the members' knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted in the motion by which the closed session was called was considered or discussed in the closed session.
So move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Coates. Any discussion?
I'll do roll call.
Roll call vote.
That's okay, I've got you. Supervisor Williams?
Yes.
Supervisor Kuntz?
Yes.
Supervisor Harris?
Aye.
Supervisor Jessing?
Aye.
Supervisor Kimbrough?
Proceeding with the meeting, we're going to go to the public hearing portion of the meeting, and we'll finish our earlier agenda later. The first is a special exception number 2021-53. Dave, please proceed. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Yes, this is special exception 2021-03 submitted by William E. Moy on behalf of William E. Moy and Son Heating and Cooling Incorporated. This request is for approval of a special exception to establish a contractor's yard in accord with Section 8-3.5 and install a shipping container in accord with Section 15-23 of the Middlesex County zoning ordinance. The property for which a special exception is being requested is Zone Village Community, situated at 10456 General Polar Highway in Hartfield, further identified as tax parcels 38-42 and 38-43, and it's in the Pine Top District. Just a brief narrative. The property is, as it's stated, is Zone Village Community. Previous use was residential. You can see the property size is almost 4 acres. The future land use plan calls for this to go commercial. And you have various uses on each side, most of which is vacant. Some of it's agricultural, actually, on one side. We're also processing a minor site plan in conjunction with the application. This shows the location. This is the current zoning. You can see it's currently village community. There's some general business to the east. Most of that area is slated for general business in that direction. And if you look at our future land use map, it indicates a lot of this is to go commercial at some point. Just an aerial showing where the property is. I think most people are familiar with it. It's right before you get to Regent Road. There's a Google Earth map picture done several years ago, really. And these are some photographs. If you look straight into that photograph, behind that stand of pine trees, that's where the shipping container is. We're actually resolving a violation with this application. One of the components of that screening application is to have screening, which is in the past 3 years or so since we've been working with them to resolve this. It really has popped up and pretty much hides that shipping container. It's evergreens, you can't see it. So, and this is, we'll come back to this picture. This was one that the Planning Commission made a recommendation to put some additional vegetative screening in front of this little fenced-in area. And another photograph of it. And if you look up in there, you can barely see that shipping container. You can see it's pretty well screened from the road. It's just about impossible to see. And this is where the applicant will have their office space for their business. And just a quick photo along the right-of-way. This is pre-existing or the existing conditions for this. It shows what's on site today. There's a little, this shows the landscaping plan. You can see there's landscaping plan proposed, anywhere along that buffer, more specifically along the right-of-way. So it is being screened. There's a 50-foot buffer that's shown to be left vegetated. Of course, we know the approval is for, the special exception request is for approval of the, to allow the contractor's yard and the shipping container. There's two components of this application. Based on the analysis above, this special exception request is in substantial conformance with the requirements of Section 8-4, 15-23, and 20-5B of the Middlesex County zoning ordinance. The project will require minor site plan approval. The applicant has made that application. Includes but not limited to approval from the Department of Transportation and Department of Health. We've received Department of Transportation comments, but like a lot of our applications, our health department is a little backed up. In summation, staff recommends approval of special exception 2021-03 with the following conditions. The use shall meet the criteria stated there. And of course, it's subject to the minor site plan approval. The Planning Commission voted 9-0 with 1 abstention and 1 absent to recommend approval of special exception 2021-03 with the following conditions. They, and this is part of the ordinance as well, the shipping container shall be painted to match the natural background colors. That would probably be an earth tone color such as green or brown or something of that nature. And also, I had mentioned previously that fenced-in area that they're using for storage. The Planning Commission recommended that they put some additional plantings and screen that particular little boxed-in, fenced-in area as well. And with that, if the board has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to the chair for public hearing.
Any questions? Okay. Let's see, we would normally hear from the applicant.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. I
Next,
believe they are
correct.
here to speak on their
Yeah.
behalf. Yes, sir.
Welcome.
How y'all doing?
Good.
So, any questions?
It'd be helpful if you maybe give us a little bit of background and about your business and how you
Okay, well,
went
we've
up
been
here.
in business for about 25 years. And the office that's up there is just going to be an office for right now. We're not putting a building up there for the sheet metal shop yet. Because I guess when that time comes, when we start to build that, I guess that would be another meeting or something, so. But all that is right now is just going to be a house with our lady that works for us, answering the phone, and that's about it on that part.
Pretty much removing the office out of their house and away from their house so they can actually live without having phones ringing all the time. That's the plan. But yeah, that's about it. Renovated the house and made it our office.
Any questions from the board?
I got a couple questions. Y'all, I know y'all don't know, but, that location that y'all have used to be a juke joint out the road on the right-hand side where the driveway come. And see, I was at the planning commission meeting and, all of them was talking about, your bushes volunteer, your trees volunteer, they upgrown. And if we look at the pictures, we'll see over there, basically they're weeds. They're, the trees are not there, but, being a country guy all my life, you could take a tree and take a bush hug and cut around them. You could really make your landscaping look a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all done a beautiful job on, on the house, the remodel or whatever y'all done, but you don't fully get the look right now. So I'm not against this project, but what I'm saying is that also when you put the metal shed up, I'm wondering, or the metal building up, I'm wondering where that gonna be and how the, the storage y'all have up there all growed up now. And, sometimes you look at that and say, is that a wave to the future? That's what you're doing right now. Even the containers on the right-hand side of the house, and I'm just wondering, because the lady in the planning commission, she had a problem with the color and all this kind of stuff you're painting. I don't know why you just didn't put it on the other side. Then you wouldn't see the container at all from the road.
Well, the reason I got that container was when I was building my house, I bought it because I couldn't find a storage unit.
Okay.
So I stuck it out there and I had all my furniture in it. So that's what the container was
End
there
up-
for.
End up staying right there.
Ended up staying there,
That's a
yes.
tough thing,
And then
man.
David and I have been speaking about it for like 3 years.
Yeah. But I was just saying that because
Right.
I know y'all got the question all the time. We were talking about painting and all of that. And I'm sitting in the meeting, I'm saying, shoot, why don't you just move it around the other side of the house? And it's out of sight, out of mind. You can do what you want to do with it.
Right.
And it'd be a nice place. Once you landscape it, it'll be nice. But I'm gonna give you just an idea of how it could look like too. If you
Right.
go up the road past Fleets, you got one house sitting right there in the field. Y'all know what that house is at? Used to have a fence all the way around it. Now it's grew all up around. It looks terrible. So I was just hoping, just getting an idea
Oh,
that
yeah,
when
she's
you,
gonna get cleaned up. 'Cause we're gonna bush
she
hog it
cleaned
and
up,
all that,
because,
yeah.
that's, we talking about beautification and all that. You
Oh, yeah.
wanna be the, I ride by because I drive a school bus every day. And I look at it because when y'all came, I just look at it, so I see it every day. I see they could clean this thing up
Looks like a little bit
know.
of a woods right now.
Yeah,
It's all
it's,
done up.
because I, go back in the juke joint there. I remember a little juke joint that used to have out there. The boys don't remember that. But that was, I was thinking that maybe, look, what's that?
He said cut his mic. We're getting in that juke joint now. I want to hear it.
I was thinking about juke job, but I'm gonna say this, which is different. I know somebody approached me the other day and said they want to do a sporting bar. They like a sporting area, Mill Six, with probably about 20 flat screens, somewhere to go, selling done and something like that. First thing I thought about was your place, but I know you're doing something else. Hey, thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'm ready to make a motion if that's appropriate.
Well, we need to hear from public, if public would like to speak.
Sure.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Would anybody from the public like to speak with regard to this application?
Or Reggie's Juke Joint?
Open the public comment period.
I bet it would be nice.
Nobody wishes, so I'll close public comment period.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we approve special exception 2021-03.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Coons, second by Mr. Jesse. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye.
Mr. Coons?
All right,
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye. Motion carries.
good luck.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you. Y'all have made that place look a lot better. Yes, sir, but thank you. And it'll look better after, like I said, we'll get her cleaned up. All right.
All right, Dave?
This is our second application for the evening. Special exception 202204 submitted by Joe Hyman on behalf of Lord Mott Center Incorporated. The request is for approval of a special exception to convert an existing retail store to a self-storage building in accord with Section 11-4.4 of the Middlesex County zoning ordinance. The property for which a special exception is being requested is zoned general business and is situated at 34 Irma's Lane, Deltaville, 23043. It's further identified as tax parcel 40-62-4, and it's located in the Pine Top District. Brief narrative on the property. You can see most of that's already listed in the description, but you see the property size is 1.65 acres. That's per a recent plat. We recently had a lot line adjustment on that particular site. Comprehensive plan listed as going commercial. It's currently zoned general business. Various surrounding land uses. You have some general business and vacant. North, commercial, which is the old Sunset Grill. East is commercial, that being the galley. So, and the south is zone general business as well, but it's vacant. This site had an approved site plan. It's been done in the newer generation of our zoning ordinance. So I went through a full site plan review. You can see by these pictures when they come up, it's ready for most types of development. The landscaping's in, the entrances have been reviewed, so it's pretty much turnkey. You can see this is the existing zoning. The pinkish red color is general business. You can see there's some residential across the street with mostly village community all around it. And this is a future land use map. Actually, that shows some village community headed back to the northwest and residential behind it with an infill of commercial. This is an overview, just showing it from our tax maps, the GIS. Here's some pictures of the site. I think most of us are familiar with it. You can see it's developed, the parking's in, it's striped, lighting set. Everything's pretty much in place. And this use is actually going to really go, it's going to be a lot less intense than a retail. It was permitted for retail, self-storage, VDOT, there's less traffic generation, there's less any septic requirements for this type of use. So it's really kind of making it less intense. There's not much to review site-wise on it. I think we're all pretty much, that's a recent survey of the property. I guess the upper right-hand corner would be the property that's in question here. And this is the internal layout. I believe it's going to be, Mr. Hyman's here, he can speak a little bit more on this sketch, but I believe this is probably going to be, it's already conditioned space, so I'm sure it's be conditioned storage, more of a small personal type storage than warehouse type storage. Of course, we know this request is for approval of special exception. General business does require a special exception for self-storage. Village community does not. Just kind of make that point there. Based on the analysis above, the special exception request is in conformance with the requirements of section 11-4.4 and 20-5B of the Middlesex County zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of special exception 2022-04 with that criteria noted there. And the planning commission voted 8-0 with 2 abstentions and 1 absent to recommend approval of special exception 2022-04. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it over to you. And I could probably go back to something that, maybe I'll go back to that. That can be discussed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Joe, would you like to address the board?
Good to see everybody. Joe Hyman, president of Lordmont Center, which is what we call that building. First off, I've been here for a couple hours. I want to really say I appreciate what you all do. It's amazing watching you, and I appreciate just the way you carry on business. So it's really good to see. I think he explained everything. Real simple. Just going to take the inside of the building, turn it into indoor storage, be an entrance in the front. That's about it. Be a much lighter use, and it is kind of interesting that under general business, it would be it's a required special exception. Where under village community, a much lighter use, it wouldn't be required. So at any rate, that's a request, and if anybody has any questions, happy to answer them.
I have a couple of requests.
Oh, geez.
Looking at the diagram that's up here, it is the front there, up there, that's what's facing?
The bottom of the page is the front of the building.
Okay.
Those 2 pairs of doors, that's the front of the building.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
And is this, just looking at this, so it's a little bit different from what a normal business like this would be. Are you going to keep the front of the facade of the building?
Yeah.
So you'll go in, and then there'll be individual units throughout the building?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how an indoor storage would work. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the units are.
I don't have many indoor services around here to compare.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So from the outside, which is the most important thing, there won't be any changes other than it'll be cleaned up. There's a lot of stuff outside the building now that are associated with the current tenant that won't be there. There's no reason to have them. So the primary thing is that all that'll be cleaned up. There won't be stuff all over the place outside, and basically you'll just see a building that people have a key code to get into and walk in, and
And it's a pretty big parking lot out in
huge
front.
for that. You would never build this big for that.
So are you going to extend that way into the parking lot?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. No, you wouldn't do anything in front. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, that would require coming back for sure to do anything
Yeah,
in front.
sure.
Yeah. So no, the idea is it's all inside.
Okay,
It's all inside.
okay,
So,
It'll be climate control?
absolutely, yeah.
cool.
Yeah, That's the key. That's the key. Anything else? Anybody?
Any other questions?
Jim, I pass it every morning. I think it's a good idea for you to do something with it. It's a nice building, got a lot of space in it. You know exactly what I'm thinking right now. But the business to your left and the one straight in front, you might would go down if you do what I'm thinking. But it's a nice place. It's a nice location.
Thank
It's
you.
a nice location.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve. What?
Public hearing.
You have to wait for public comment. Don't always follow my example, Don.
All right, I'm going to open the meeting for public comment on this proposal. Anyone wish to comment? Nope, I'll close the public hearing on this. Now, Don.
Are you ready for me?
Yep.
All right, good. I'd like to approve the special exemption application 2022-04.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Kuntz. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye.
Mr. Kuntz?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. That concludes the public hearing portion of the meeting, and we're going to go back and complete our 3 o'clock meeting now. And the next item on our agenda from 3 o'clock was a Puller Center renovation. Charlie, in your packet, it's on page 100.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, referencing page 100, you have a schedule of what's going to occur as the Fuller building renovation project progresses. Tomorrow, well, let me back up. Last meeting, I reported that the groups had mobilized, have gone through all the existing paperwork, as-bills, any information that they could find. Tomorrow, they will be on site, touring the building, actually starting their structural analysis.
Who is this?
This is SGI. This is the structural folks that they designed the project.
They're the ones who will determine whether it meets the class 4.
That's correct. They will be looking at the risk assessment class 4, classification number 4. From all indication, in talking with Bay Design, going through the as-bills and looking at the future of the building, they don't anticipate a lot of issues. Oh, I'm sorry.
They don't anticipate a lot of issues, however, they're prepared if they do find something. I want to caution you that if they do find something, then it's going to change the schedule, number one, and the cost. So we'll have to wait for their report. We should have it hopefully after the holidays. They're also going to mobilize, I think it's Thrasher, their architect, and their MEP team. Once they'll use that report as reference. We're going to be putting in all new electrical, new HVAC. We're doing a new site development plan. And we will be tying into the manhole over at Cook's Corner. We'll be using a low-pressure system from the building.
And just to add a little bit to what he said, Mr. Chairman, based on recent conversations, it appears the USDA is going up on their 40-year rate to 4.125% January 1. They're probably going to be going up on their rate quarterly based on the current interest rate trends. So we're still evaluating. Once we get a little closer and know a little bit more on cost, we'll evaluate USDA versus private market, well, not private market, but other sources. The Virginia pooled bond, Virginia local government bond pool is probably the best bet. But as of right now, I would be leaning towards the latter, not the former. USDA going up to a 4.1. And then ultimately, by the time we get something closed higher, it may not benefit a longer payment plan with 40 years. It just may not be a benefit. So
And
we'll
that's,
continue to monitor that.
and that's very important information because we're not going to be bidding this thing until first or second quarter next year. So we could potentially go through 2 cycles of increase in interest rates.
One question, Charlie. The last thing on the schedule shows the sheriff's office occupancy. Is the emergency services going to occupy at the same time? Is that the plan?
That's correct. That'll all be done at the same time.
Oh,
So
okay.
everything
So it's
will be, everything, once that facility has been accepted, that whole operation, with the exception of the 911 center,
Right.
will move over.
Okay.
And we're coordinating with Kevin with regards to types of equipment for security, keypads, that type of thing. We've had contractors out touring the building. We're looking at locations for electrical receptacles, drops for phones, computers, and so on. We've got a couple of options that we're going to price them to see how that's going to fall out with regards to efficiencies. There's a couple options in the larger areas. We talked about putting in a raised floor, make it a lot easier to access any cabling, conduit, anything we need to if there's changes or we need to add things and so on. Another option is trenching the existing slab and putting grates over it. And the other is just dropping from the ceiling, which I shot that down right away. So we're looking at options. We're coordinating with Sheriff Bushy with regards to his future staff, if you will. For argument's sake, he's got 15 deputies now. He may have 30 by the time they move in over there. So we want to make sure we can accommodate any future growth or expansion.
Excellent, thank you. Any other comments or questions about this?
One other thing too, as part of the design, we are allocating space for future moving 911 over, the call center over there as well. So that space may sit vacant for a while until that decision's made. But of course, moving that operation is a tremendous effort. So, but we're going to make provisions to accommodate them so that we don't have to come back at a later date and have to expand the building.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on to regular agenda items. Citizen appointments. Anne Marie, you had, it looks like there's just one.
Correct.
One candidate, and this is a candidate for the Economic Development Authority, and I would ask the board to defer considering this for another month. The reason being that the members of the Economic Development Authority have been asked by Acting Chairman Anzavino to give some thought to candidates that they think might be good candidates, and I think that it would be wise for us to allow the EDA to at least have an opportunity to develop some people that they think might be good candidates. So we'll defer this for another month.
Does that take action? Does that require an action?
A consensus would be fine. Is there a consensus?
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but I was just saying, if he's interested in it, will he come before the EDA and give him his qualifications and things like that? Or the EDA gonna go out and handpick who they want? That's my, I just wanna know, you know.
Yeah, what I would expect to happen would be if someone on the EDA had someone they thought was a candidate, they would ask them to apply, just as Mr. Crittenden has done.
Okay, all right, I was just wondering, that's curious.
All right. Next up, Anne Marie, basketball court update.
This was challenging. I opened up 4 bids for the construction of an outdoor basketball court over at the Cook's Corner area. As you can see, our budget was about $45,000. Now, I'm going to call that a placeholder because it was not really a budget. It was not developed by any professionals. However, when the price came in at $128,000, I knew we were going to have to talk. All 4 bids, as you can see, exceeded the budget, with the lowest one over the budget by $83,000. The budget did not contemplate the increase of concrete nor the increase or the cost of perimeter fencing, but still. Since then, or during our process, there was expressed a strong interest in including something called an interlocking tile overlay, What it does is you put the concrete down, it looks like plastic crates. It's not, but it looks like plastic crates over top of it that makes the court a softer, safer surface for the athletes. That was included as an optional bid when we put this out for bids, but the overlay cost $50,000 more than what you see here. So the specifications that I used were from another county and then it was edited a bit by our own staff. After consideration and review, it seems as though there's an opportunity to either reduce the depth of the concrete. I went with a 4-inch concrete, maybe I could do 3.5. There may be some other areas which I don't know how else to conserve costs on this. But regardless, I think the final cost is still going to be about $100,000 without the tile overlay. So at this time, I'm kind of at your mercy because I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to do you want to accept this low bid, fund the difference? Either way, we have to appropriate the full $100,000 because the $45,000 was appropriated last year and funds lapsed at year end. Reject all bids, and you can direct staff to rebid the courts, or reject all bids and take no further action on this basketball court. So those are the three options. I think you're all familiar with this site, and I don't even know which direction. I don't have a recommendation. They all were equally good to me.
All right, boy. Thank you for all the work you've done, for sure. I have a couple questions, though. And I understand the scope of what we were looking at of doing there at Cook's Corner. That being said, why did we decide to go with a complete basketball court outside when we spent the money that the county spent on the renovation of the basketball, the Tom Carter gym?
I don't know that answer. I do know that, again, we went with the full-size high school basketball court. So would there be savings if we rebid it as either a junior high or as a half court? There would, of course, be that. Would there be as much interest in it? Perhaps. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I can give a little history on it, how everything came about, thinking about, what you're saying. At one time, gymnastics was in the old gym.
I know.
So you couldn't really utilize that at that time, and it wasn't out there. But then they used to play basketball, but then you got the skate park. That took where the basketball was.
Right.
And then after that, it was more about recreation on both parts.
Right.
And that's how that really started. And then ended up, you had some playground along with, with special needs, I think it was. So money from special needs, wasn't it, Reggie? I'm trying to remember now. They had some special needs money there and a playground. So naturally, you would have another basketball court when you have multiple things and you don't have kids going back and forth across the road. And that was the concept of everything during that time. And then you got your dog park, as you know. Somebody can walk their dog, the kids can play around there. And that's how everything came about. They skate, and then, because it was a basketball court there.
Right.
And that's how everything came about.
Okay, thank you. I'm just not sure at this timing of where we are now to continue on, not to say that we give it up, but we might be, and with the cost of concrete, there's no compelling push for us to do it over the next 6 or 8 months. I'm just wondering if we might be smarter to sit back and see what happens with the concrete costs. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't know where we're going with that, but damn, the amount, for what we thought it was going to be and what it is, what the bids came in and what actually it's going to cost, there's a lot of moving parts there, price-wise, to me, that we might, and there's some projects we don't have that flexibility to do. I'm also a little concerned with whatever the view is of Cook's Corner, of what that may be. how does a basketball court play into, and I'm sure you've researched it and you can tell me that, but if the renovation of the RC is in play, which at this point I don't think it's out of play. If it's in play, what you going to do with that building versus having the basketball court, and how close that is to that, and what the potential revitalization of the rest of the property around that, how does all of that play into what's going to go on with the park, with the basketball court?
I can mention that too.
Go ahead.
All right, if you gotta look at an overall view
Okay.
of that other building, which, in view of a multi-purpose building,
Okay.
okay, if you got a multi-purpose building, where I'm saying, everything is not sketched in stone right now, but it's in workings and discussion. If you got a multi-purpose building that you can rent for a lot of things, national disasters, anything like that, family reunion, class reunion, et cetera. And what I'm saying, picnics or whatever, you rent it out, you got something for activities for children if you want to have a family reunion. You got another location there that you can do things, and you have a basketball court there where you don't have to go across the road if they want to do something. And that's why I'm saying that, because talking with Bushy too, I also talked with him. He said, when Isabel was here, that was a drop-off place. Ice and stuff like that. So you can use that for a multi-purpose building. Using a multi-purpose building, you can also, it can generate money for itself. In other words, keep upkeep for renting and different things like that. There was something that, other than a museum or something like that. And that way, you still have something continuously going on. You can, even though you don't have a bathroom there, you would have a bathroom there once that building gets fixed up and the kids in the park and stuff like that, they don't have anywhere to go to the bathroom. That other building would be perfect for somewhere that they can go to the bathroom too, because you can have an exterior connected to the bathroom that are there, where you don't have to go inside that building at that time. So, this is just a vision right now, and I know the Heritage Commission had been talking a little bit too, and they got to get back, and then, see exactly how this going to get the part. But we're at an early stage right now on that.
And, and I get all of that, and I don't have a problem with anything that you said about that.
I don't want to cut you off. One more thing. Anything with community, you have the Harris Fund, which I'm on that foundation board. Anything with kids and community, there's grant monies for that. So I'm looking at if you can get up more grant money for this project too. That's a good thing too, because anything from the Harris Fund, which River County Community Foundation, I'm on that board, any community base for children or whatever, it fits in that. So I do know there's funds, and we got to apply between January and March or April. March 1st, I think. And there's more grant monies available for something like this.
Is what's the shelf life on the bids that were given to you?
Usually it's 30 days, so we're at the end of that.
Okay.
However, that being said, if we were going to rebid it with, among other things, different basketball goals, we were informed that the basketball goals that we selected may not have been the best for the site. Several people, after we went out to bid, said, you know what, these will go unclear. They were clear. They said this particular goes opaque, is that the word? So they said maybe you could do it, and that would save us probably $6,000 or $7,000. And if we waited, went out for bid, and tried to get the Harris Fund monies, maybe that would be a good ideal time, since we can't construct in winter anyway, from what I understand about constructing concrete.
So are we at anything in jeopardy of postponing this decision till January, as an example?
There's well, you won't be able to use these bids.
Right?
But that's fine. I mean, deferring it is option number 2 or option number 3, and that's fine either way.
Okay. Okay.
And again, I think that gives me the opportunity to do as Mr. Jesse suggested, go to the Harris Foundation for additional funds. I think that's fair. Making sure that we still wanted, obviously, up to you all, do you still want the full-size court and not downsizing the court to a,
Well, maybe that gives us time to massage that a little bit too.
bring it back to you all then?
And think about it some.
I'll let you, okay.
I'm fine with just deferring. I've got some thoughts on the area. I guess my highest priority would be that we put a great playground in for children. And I know they're very expensive, but, and I'm just referring to what I see from, at the Deltaville Community Association. We got basketball courts, we got pickleball courts, and we got a playground. There's always a mother or a father and their kids on that playground all the time, because there isn't anything else. And this central location, I don't know, do we have one planned?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
a little
mean-
planned is the wrong word.
I-
I'm going out to get it, I'm meeting with them. I've got funds. So that was step one. Step two is to wait on this project because I wanted the people, I was going to invite, what you do is you invite the parks designers to come in and see your site, and that's how they bid for a park. They see the site, they see what you have in mind, and that's how they bid.
So we're not sure what the RCE building is going to evolve into. Maybe there needs to be a pavilion for that to be its best. We don't really know that. We've got a basketball court. If that basketball court in the gym is completely busy all the time with pickleball or something else, then maybe we need another basketball court. But personally, I would want to pursue, let's continue to get the RCE building evolved into what it can become. Let's get a great playground there. We got a dog park there. We'll have a sheriff's office there. And then if there's call for a basketball court, it seemed to me, that's just my opinion. But it's a long way of saying I'm fine with postponing.
And if I may add to that, we've also, Karen and I have been working together to see if we can extend the hours while we deferred this program, because, I mean, I knew I wouldn't get it done quickly, to open the gym more. I think that's part of getting some of the accomplishments done. It doesn't solve the problem of the site, but getting the gym open will help.
Reggie, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking at the bids that we have out here because we are trying to agreeing with you, we are trying to turn that area into a playground recreation like in the, you got the skating ring there. And the first thing that we started, when we started talking about the skating ring, we were talking about the basketball court and playground. Now we're getting almost in the middle of the stream, and now we're running away from the price. And, I look at it like this. You start something, you finish it. Just figure how you want to finish it. Now, we got the skating ring there, and that's what we set it up to turn into a playground. We got funds to also for a park. So that was a donation, so it didn't cost us anything. And hopefully, because the way we put it in it to be looking, something nice looking in Canada, this basketball court, they got ideas as well as, not ideas, they have a pickleball court, and that's very popular right now. Get ready to blow off a chart. They'll give you outdoor pickleball as well as basketball itself. And I'm looking at the price, but I'm not scared of the price. Because I'm looking at, for instance, you painting and striping. I don't know what that is, because is that the,
Okay, sorry, the bid that you're looking at, the striping and paint is simply to put down the colors along the outside.
okay.
So-
And on the cement, so y'all
Right,
cut that off.
right, because-
See, I'm looking at this, you might have to rebid it, because you might have to take that person, because we should
Exactly.
get on the top of it, what you was talking about. And to get a low bid, what you done, I'm looking at the bids, but I'm looking at that cement for $7,000. Okay. And I'm looking at the fencing, which is pretty consistent, at $30,000. And I'm looking at basketball goals and insulation at 18. So, in looking at these prices, just too much difference between the 70 and the 68, and I know it's close to 70. This just hitting you, kind of like I call hitting you in the butt. It's close to 70 because all you do is do the math on the cost of the cement, how much it costs to spread it in preparation. This guy over here might need, Ace Construction might need to work. And I know sometime we like to get the turnkey job on everything, but also the place that puts the tile down, they could install that, and I think that price was $30,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So,
Closer to 50, but
Did it change it to 50?
Well,
We don't have to
there's,
get that guy.
there's
Okay.
things that we can do. When we looked at specifications, when we looked at the specifications, we proposed 4,000 PSI, a driveway, basically, with a single mat reinforcing steel. We can go to 3 inches, 3,000 PSI, which would be cheaper because it's less aggregate and less fly ash. So it's going to be cheaper. No, there's no but.
There's no but.
It's, if we're looking at rebidding it, plus, as stated, the basketball goals are Cadillacs. Do we need Cadillacs for an outdoor court? No, we need a steel backboard.
Does it have to be concrete? Can it not be asphalt? That's all.
Asphalt in the heat, you're gonna slip, slide, it'll get really soft.
Well, then basically what we're saying, we'll wait the first of the year then, right? Because they haven't gotten it together. We know what we want, but, we're not gonna get it done now. So we just will, keep our thoughts in and keep working with Ann and Charlie. But because, we still want the tile on it, so we're not gonna change that. We don't wanna skimp too much now. If the quality of the 3 inch, or what are you talking about? If that's the quality compared to 4 inch, then we'll go for 3 inch. But we're getting this striping and stuff that they're charging 18,000, and one charging a 1,900. Come on, now, we not that stupid. We can't be that stupid, so we see different in the price. So we want the real things so we can compare real numbers. Real numbers is the tile that got the soft laying on top of it. You can compare that because it got installed, and people will come there to install it. The other guy that came down from, where he come down,
He was for Maintenance Plus.
from Maintenance Plus.
He was the one that was.
He's the one in
proposing
Deltaville, got that place in the gated community you can't get into. Yeah, that's where he put it at.
Yeah.
He didn't even, what was his price? He got 1,900 there for painting. Okay. We probably gonna need to rebid
Good guess is
it
good
and look
advice.
at it a little bit better.
Well, just an observation, a lesson that the schools learned when they installed the tennis courts. Make sure we get compaction tests and they get good compaction up underneath whatever you do, because then you won't have the settling and the issues that they face down there.
That was in spec.
Yeah, the compaction of those tennis courts was faulty, and that's why they're in bad shape.
We had 95. In this original specification, we had 95 modified, which is basically the same as 100 standard. We had 4 inches of stone, pressure run, and then concrete. So the concrete was the most expensive of that, but I said if we change the mix, change the PSI on it, it's going to be cheaper.
And we're not running heavy equipment on it.
No.
So it doesn't have to be as strong as your driveway.
I wonder if you bought the concrete direct from Essex Concrete, we're tax exempt,
Yeah.
and then you supply the concrete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they warranted it.
You have to be able to store it.
I move that we defer this decision.
Motion by Mr. Coons, is there a second?
It is, I second that.
Mr. Harris, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Kuntz?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Okay, Anne Marie, your role here, ARPA funds.
This one is a little bit easier. You selected a committee over a year ago to determine how to spend the county's $2 million in ARPA funds. Part of that was $170,600 for emergency communications. The committee decided back over a year ago to spend that, to reserve $170,000 for emergency communications. Last month, the emergency management director requested that I go ahead and have that appropriated by the board so that he could purchase some Harris multi-band portable radios and mobile radios. And ergo, I am requesting an appropriation of $170,600 for emergency communications from the ARPA funds.
And I can elaborate a little bit on that. I think it's David Lehman's intention to sample, I think Anne Marie mentioned that, get a couple, see if they work, and then commit to the others. So if the experiment doesn't work, I won't call it an experiment. If the samples don't work as advertised and intended. He will not be using the entirety of the 170, and we'll be back in front of you for another idea.
I just got a question. The ARPA funds, what else can you use them for? Just, emergency service, what else can use them for? Like a basketball court?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can use.
Yes, sir.
And
How much
Reggie,
money we got in there?
If you flip onto the page 106, you can see what we've already appropriated money for. So, for example, I had originally requested, and the committee had agreed to, $22,500 for fitness equipment, which was going to be put in Phase 2 of the trail. That has not been spent yet, so you can certainly agree to, at some point, change that. Below that, there was $50,000, this is funds that haven't been spent yet, $50,000 for Middlesex Foundation housing, because that project has never evolved. And the three numbers below that, that $95,000 was for EDA, but EDA now has their own ARPA funding sources, so those have been crossed off the list. Finally, we've got $101,000 reserved for Resurgence, and that, I believe, I was going to request to either use for the additional funds for the playground or additional funds at the basketball court. Yes, sir.
Because when I'm looking at this 55, I remember seeing a price of somewhere.
Right, that's for the playground.
$200,000. So, I mean, if we got the money, to do what we need to do, how come we have to wait? How come we need to wait? I thought we was approved at 45. Now we got 55 right here.
No, so this is the playground. This money has been added to the summer, as Supervisor Kimbrough mentioned, we have a $250,000 project for approximately, it's a large project for the kids' playground. I have, including that, I want to say about $171,000 already scheduled in.
Okay.
So,
On the kids' playground, now lady left $67,000.
I'm sorry?
Didn't someone leave $67,000?
right.
So now we got a 225.
No, that
because-
includes all that.
So the
I've
money
got
that we want,
$67,000, I've got $50,000 from the Kiwanis Club. I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared to answer that question, but I've got $50,000.
Kiwanis and Rotary,
Cool.
they went together on that, I think, if my memory serves.
I was awarded to it at the Kiwanis, I went to the
I
Kiwanis
know
meeting where I got
Kiwanis
it.
was.
But anyway, there's $170,000.
$107,000. So what we got right now, we got somebody that's donating as much money as we need, and we talking about the basketball court at a few more dollars now. You can change the whole work sort of thing. Maybe we should wait to January so we can make our mind up. But I don't see no way of holding nothing up right now. And we're gonna have to spend that opera money. We'd be just bad as a school. We're gonna have to spend that opera money sooner or later on something, so we can't keep on holding on by it. And this is money we can pay for something as we go. And I think if we meet as a group and get together, Charlie and all of us get together, we can decide, because at $70,000, if he's gonna do the groundwork and all of that, he should get it done. And that's my feeling about it, because you're not gonna, he can put the cement, landscape, and just put the thing there, nothing else. Because all the goals go in the ground, there could be grill, or you could specify what you want.
Sure, and we do a
And-
leave out.
You do the leave out, and we talking about, we probably talking about the savings just is ridiculous,
And probably hold off on the fencing as well.
so, we'll wait till January, John.
In the meantime, to
We'll
stay on
wait till
track.
January. When we get together, we gonna make a move.
We should entertain a motion
Yeah.
about appropriating the emergency equipment communication.
There it goes. I move that we appropriate $170,600 to the emergency equipment that we're discussing.
Second it.
Motion by Mr. Kuntz, second by Mr. Jesse. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Out.
Mr. Kuntz?
You're right, I will.
And Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
I
Motion
didn't even-
carries.
I didn't hear you, did I?
What did Mr. Jesse say? I heard out. That's an aye? Also aye for me.
Thank you. Matt, the administrator updates, you got really good reporting in our packet. Would you like
Very good reporting.
It will only take me an hour and a half to go through it, I promise.
So,
Look at it, John.
so we've
No,
all studied that part, so if you
I've
could-
got two things, just real
Okay.
quick. I was already deleting some stuff off, because I know y'all have had a pretty long night. So if you would bear with me, I want to talk, I'm skipping all the way down to E. We talked earlier about the grants that Charlie and I worked with Ken and submitted for the ARPA funds through DEQ. There are several pots of money. There's the sewer collection system pot, which that was the majority of what we proposed. And Marie, quit wiggling over there. You're messing them out. The septic local partner program, I think that's the 4.25
Correct.
grant for the grinder pumps. We've submitted grants for all of that. But there's also this wonderful thing down here called the appropriation program, where money was appropriated directly by the General Assembly to several communities across the Commonwealth with sewer system upgrades and projects. I have asked Keith Hodges to submit a grant from Middlesex under the direct appropriation program, in addition to the grants that we've already submitted for. I'm going to be coming to the board in January with a resolution of support. I would assume y'all would support that. I would like for Middlesex to at least get as much, or a commensurate amount, as the Eastern Shore did, those 4 communities that I've highlighted. Well, we're going to try, but there's only so much available. It's my understanding through Keith and talking with our Robert Crockett and others that there may be additional monies coming on board this year for appropriation. And all of us sat through a very long, well-done presentation by Jim Regenwald talking about the state budget and how they're flush with cash. So we are pursuing that. I've already taken the initial steps to ask. I'll have a resolution in front of the board for January for your vote, and I'll have it to Keith before the session starts.
I bet you can't get 7 million.
I'm going for 11,
That's my man.
yeah. Going for 11.
Matt, I want to know, is it too late to put in some for water and sewer? Because I'm seeing 17,000, and that's the largest one they got on, except
Well,
29 for
There's
Petersburg.
27 million.
17 million for
29.
Quantico. For water.
I'm just wondering.
Probably, because I think there is a stipulation that these are for projects that are dated to start in 2021 or 2022. It was part of that seminar we held.
It was 22 and would go over into 23.
Yeah, and we have to spend them by 26, I think it was. There's some flexibility there for these
Yeah,
grants.
I
This is
came
part of the Infrastructure Act.
I came out with 26.6 million, so,
Yeah.
yeah. And if we can start topping, then we qualify.
Oh, yeah, well, we're putting in for Topping, Saluda, Hartfield, and Deltaville,
All of it.
definitely.
Yeah.
And we've already got Cook's Corner funded. So we're on that. Probably too late for water, Reggie. All right, last thing,
We don't know, right?
well, yeah,
We can ask.
I've met, just for the record, I met with DEQ. Charlie, you were in both of those meetings. We met with DEQ twice
Yep.
before we even submitted for the ARPA grant. So they're very familiar with our project, would you say?
Yes, sir. Mike Crocker and Karen Duran.
Yep.
In fact, we got that letter from Karen.
Yep. And that's a segue. Good news, we were approved for our Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund funding for Deltaville, Hartfield, and Saluda. That's all I got. Everything else can wait till January.
Okay. Thank you. Madam County Attorney.
My updates are included with Matt's report as well.
Great report.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any unfinished business? Do we have any new business? All right, matters presented by the board. Mr. Jesse?
I did attend the Grateful, and I did attend the PDC meeting, and
Mike?
a lot of that, I did attend the PDC meeting, and as you know, the grants money there is for Broad Street. That's done deal right now. Talking to, who did I talk to on that? Louis Lawrence, I talked to Louis on that. But also, they did discuss money's there for another dredge that the whole Middle Peninsula will use and move from county to county and be prioritized. That's it, thank you.
That's good. Don?
Just a quick update. I also was at the VACO conference and found it very interesting. There is something in the board packet about tourism to some big major counties in Henrico, Hanover, and one up in Northern Virginia. What is it, Prince William, maybe? No, I think it was Prince William. But anyway, long and short of the story is what those large counties do with development tourism through athletics. And, I mean, some of those counties have big indoor events. So it's not really applicable to what we do here. And I'll just say this, that there has been some discussion from the Complex Committee about doing some additional usage down the road. So we already on tap to talk about that, and I'll update you sometime later on some of those discussions. Other than that, I'm meeting with the Rappahannock River Basin, which is, they further explore ways to increase water quality in the bay, and I'll be in that meeting tomorrow. Other than that, the Board of Supervisor retreat I thought was that we all attended went very well, particularly in us finding better ways to work with each other and top projects in the county and how we what each person's direction would be for that. So it was very well worthwhile the time, etc. Last thing I'll mention, which is not any action to take, I've been talking to a couple residents at Cedar Point about a better working relationship with the campground, which Matt and I have tried to pursue when we get some information of people that are dissatisfied with the campground noise. Most all of them say that campground noise is being managed fairly well. There, any given day, it can be louder or more bass or more this or more that. But point being is, we are talking to those people, and Matt and I'll continue to address some of that with the campground as well. And that's all I got to tell you today.
I went to all the board meetings that I'm on that were called. I do want to just note that while we're talking about a second basketball court at Cook's Corner and we're talking about sports tourism, we have sports that we currently have underfunded horribly, and nobody knows about them until my kid goes and wrestles, and we find out that our wrestling team is actually practicing in a closet, literally a closet. You can't roll out an entire mat in that room, and that's where they have almost 40 kids try out every year because that wrestling program is really good. We produce state champions, we produce place winners, and they're doing it in a closet. And we're talking about building more basketball courts. I've got some ideas on other things that we could do that are a result of us not meeting the needs that are requested of us. And I think we could start with our wrestling program, and I would like to admit to my bias, my daughter is cutting weight, and I am also cutting weight with her, and that's part of why I'm a little lethargic this evening. Because I'm really impressed at the kids that go out and try these sports, now of all sexes. That was something that didn't happen in the 90s, and it's a great sport. It's a great sport that can thrive right next to baseball, right next to football, right next to basketball. They don't need a lot of pads. They don't need a lot of equipment. They don't need new anything. They just need enough space. And we have space in that building, but we haven't paid attention to it. So when we get all excited about $70 and $128 and $200,000 for this basketball court, I would encourage us to go look around the existing facilities that we have and ask ourselves if we've taken adequate care of all of the sports that we say we offer our students. Because right now, I would say we are not doing that.
Well, I agree with Don, Wayne, and my counterpart to my left there. You went to different things. We did complete the White Creek project. So we finally finished that. We can cross that off the books. So that's done. And what John was talking about with rustling is it's right, but it's not only rustling. I'm not gonna knock somebody else out to lift somebody else up. Rustling the way they practice that is nothing. Because things beyond our control kind of got in the way because they cut the rum up and they put in carpentry, and on the other side, you cater to what you got. And that's why I always say about being straightforward. You know, you treat your left hand like you do your right hand. And that's how come it got squeezed. Now they do, because I've been carrying it for the last 7 years all over the state, and it was something new to me because when I started, more like football, baseball, basketball. And I got involved with the coach, where I thought he'd done a good job because he taught about, education, life. I mean, all of it was there, going to church, everything was there. And John is right. I've been up and look at it too, and basically they're in a box and nobody's doing anything. I mean, the high school really looks terrible. That don't mean renovation to me, but it looks bad. If you walk around there, it looks bad. And I think that's one of the things that some kind of way been on our agenda too, but we got money, we don't do nothing with it. So the things that John talking about and I talking about is there. All you got to do is take out a wall, do some paint and stuff like that, be more respectable for the things that you got, take care of what you have. And we're not doing a good job of it. We didn't say we talk about that. It's rustling. We need to clean it up, clean the act up a little bit. And it's a lot of things we can do. And it's good working with. We got different of opinion on the board, and it's good, that retreat, just like Don was saying. That was good because finally we get a chance to just open out, and lay it out. If it was Matt, we lay him out, talking about what he shouldn't do, but I leave that alone. Or something he forgot, don't. I'm going to say this, then I'm going to go. I'm going to say this, then I'm going to stop. But don't tell me what you should have done or you forgot to do. Don't ever say that.
Well, and I'm not meaning to pick on the schools, obviously. I'm just saying it wouldn't take much to take a wall out. They could do it for less than $10,000, and they could fix this. They really could. And I sat on it, and I was hoping somebody would magically fix it, and I decided this was the quickest way for me to publicize that I, as a citizen, am a little disappointed with what's offered there.
We did ask them to add that carpentry program several years ago.
And they did, and then they
there.
moved it, and I cleaned out that room with other citizens from Rotary to make room for that. I'm not saying I want to get rid of anything else. I'm saying they're not using the other space that's available there, and the wrestling team has been going without adequate space. It's not my purview, it's the school board's, but I got my bully pulpit, and I'm signing off.
And Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say, I encourage you to reach out to your school board members in your district and let them know how you feel. I will let mine know. And I encourage you, if you got something that's bothering your school system, reach out to them. That's what they're there for. And then they know where we're coming from.
Thank you. I don't really have anything to add at this point. I know you'll all appreciate that. So I will entertain a motion.
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
Second it. Oh, hold
No,
on. We got something else going
you have a
on.
public comment period, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
Public comment.
Aye.
Public comment's closed. The motion was by Mr. Kuntz, second by Mr. Jesse. Any discussion?
Do we need a roll call, or can we all just?
We're just doing roll calls.
All right.
Aye.
I didn't go first all night.
Mr. Williams?
He did in my book, John.
Thank you.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye.
I forget where it was. Mr. Kuntz, Mr. Harris?
Mr.